Right, well, good evening. I'm Simon Lovesey, founder of Restart Sailing, and joined by colleague John Emmett, who I think hotting foot from the dinghy show down to rural Cornwall. So pleased that he's going to join us.
Yeah,
Show 44, John.
I literally only. No, I literally only since so at the dinghy show. It was a bit like the Austin Powers movie, where it took me an awful lot of small turns to get my van out of the car. I think that's a nice problem to have. Just have, lots of people at a sailing event. So I think the key thing is we can whiz through the first couple of slides because it does feel like the situation is very much back to normal. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not going to make light of it. I think COVID is going to be here to stay forever, like the flu virus and so on and so forth. But the number of negative outcomes is becoming really, really low now. So we can mainly be a reset sailing show. We'll have a look at those slides in a minute. After that, we've got the RS Feva class come up. So we've got one. We haven't got two. We've got four guests. So hopefully we coordinate that. And we're going to continue the coaching tips, looking at when to focus on boat speed and when to focus on tactics. So that leads on nicely from show 43. So yeah, if we can just flick over the slides.
Well, the three stages, but I think importantly, John, as you said, I think we're now getting to understand this and how to deal with it. And COVID's not going away, but hopefully we're not going to get too bogged down with it in the future.
Yeah, well, I think nearly all sailing events this year should take place as you would expect them to. I guess there's still a question mark over events in China because they've got COVID zero policy, and actually World Sailing hasn't got any major events in Russia or Belarus. So I think we're pretty much back to normal. And personally, really looking forward to Princess Sophia Regatta, which will be in Palma. And that's where I'll be live from the next show. So I hope the internet is good there. Currently from Cornwall, so apologies if it's not as good as you would like, but just bear with us.
Yeah, we can still hear you. So nice downward trend here, John, on the graphs.
Yeah, and actually it's not only the number of new cases which is down, the one which somehow I always feel is so much more important, the number of deaths is down. So hopefully come May, it will almost be a non-talking point, but I just think it's really good to put these slides up because, like everything on the internet, it's there for posterity, so people can look back and see the very different
and I think
situation.
We shouldn't get too complacent, should we? We should still
vulnerable people need to continue to look after themselves, but in terms of mental health and physical health, we're going to be getting into the sailing season soon, and that's really, really good for both of those. Yeah. So I think fantastic to talk to the RS Feva class today because that is the future sailors.
Yes, so you and I were at the REA Dinghy Show presenting the Sold Soldiers Winter Series. Thanks for standing in for Andy Rice, who ironically went down with COVID, which was
Andy sets the bar very, very high, and also it's the first time I've ever been given a script for anything sailing related. I'm so used to just chatting. That was that was quite interesting. But looking out into the hall, it was a lot of familiar faces winning the prizes. Perhaps no surprise in that, but pretty much every seat was taken, and I think the RWA did an amazing job to put the show on, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully being there for the full weekend next year. Hadn't seen my wife in over 6 months, so holiday was
I think it was a positive return to normal, wasn't it? And certainly there was a lot more people there than perhaps we would have anticipated, and I think people made
I was only there literally for an hour, but it was much more enjoyable than the virtual meetings we did before.
Yes, and it was interesting talking to Hannah Diamond, who hosted last year's virtual show, and actually saying how hard it is doing it virtually because you don't know people are there. Really, that's the problem.
But normally people just host one show, so I think it was really good. They gave her another stand,
another go. So she did a good job of bringing it all together, and I think pleased to see real eyeballs in front of her. And And looking forward, we have the sort of some of the cancelled events, the Brass Monkey that we unfortunately got cancelled COVID coming up, and a bit of a summer season of events coming up. So yeah, hopefully we're returning to some sense of normal.
Yeah, I mean the only reason events are getting blown off now seems to be, or not, well, it could be underwinded off, is when the weather doesn't play ball. But,
yes,
that's
ironically, really,
always been the case.
But, right, so moving on to. Joined by the
RS
Feva class.
So before we crack on with the interview, I'm not quite sure how to do this with four people. But just a very big thank you to the wonderful coach and indeed tactician that is the one and only Mark Russell. This video aged me a little bit because it's quite hard to think how long ago this was filmed. But yeah, this is from Mark Russell, filmed and driving a rib and chasing a very high-speed Feva, actually involving people who are now long departed the class, and actually some very good people in the class. So without further ado, I'm just trying to think how best to do this, but can you introduce yourselves, if we start with the two who've got the British sailing team tops on
the left.
So if you say hello to everyone at home, and we'll try and get the names.
Hi, I'm Alice. I'm Sylvia.
Okay, and then we've got another pair because the Feva class won't be really well represented, because the names which I see underneath the Skype are very definitely not the names of the people in front of me.
Okay. I'm Holly and I'm Ella.
Okay, so Holly, if you can start off, can you just tell us how you got involved with the Feva class, what you sailed before and where you now sail?
So I sailed Oppies. Well, I still sail a bit of Oppies, but now, well, me and Holly kind of got together in COVID because Holly's crew left her, and so she needed somebody to sail with, and I was free, so we just kind of started sailing together and ended up here.
I think that was about last spring.
Yeah.
And I came from Terra's, and I've been in Fevas for about 4 years now. And we sail a Hisk.
So for the people behind, Hisk is Hailing Island Sailing Club, which is obviously a world-renowned sailing club. Done a lot of major championships there. And the Oppie and the Terra, they're both single-handed classes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So how's it going from single-handed to double-handed?
I much preferred it because there's someone else in the boat, to talk to and enjoy the experience.
If there isn't, something's gone terribly wrong.
Yeah, I like it better as well because, like Holly said, you can talk to somebody and it's not... Well, it is fun sailing single-handed, but then it's just more fun in double because you can actually talk to the person.
And share the experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the highest, people argue about this, but the highest levels of our sport are all team events. So the America's Cup, Sail GP, they're all multi-crewed events. So the next pair, really good to see the old British sailing team tops on. That definitely brings back some fond memories, but also makes me feel very old. Can you introduce yourselves?
Yeah, so we have actually, we didn't really... we're quite new to the sport in terms of the fact that we started with Fevas and kind of with sailing.
So this was your first ever class?
Yeah, so I mean
Fantastic.
we did a couple of weeks in the summer in Italy, but just for leisure with lasers a couple of years ago. But we actually started post-lockdown also as a way to kind of react to the lockdown and kind of get outdoors, and we actually found ourselves enjoying the sport a lot, and so we progressed quite quickly.
Well, of course, I'm really pleased to hear that. Sorry, could you just introduce yourselves? I perhaps missed that bit.
Sorry, I'm Alice.
I'm Sylvia.
Yeah, and we're sisters, so obviously that's the main reason why we're still together, and we also...
And where do you sail from, girls?
Itchner.
Itchner, right, okay.
So just down the road from his. And obviously, during COVID time, sailing in the family bubble works very well. So, if you feel you're quite new to sport, again, what was it? What was the reasoning for getting in the Feva?
I think it was just kind of to we to just get outdoors and to try something new post lockdown. But also we did quite like the couple of weeks, kind of our limited experience in the summer beforehand. Although it's obviously very different to what we do now, because now we are quite a lot more competitive, and it's obviously a different boat. But it's about getting outdoors in nature and kind of trying out new challenges and new things.
Yeah,
I was about to say, sorry, say that again. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there wasn't a particular reason we chose Feva other than the fact that we wanted to maybe sail together or just experience a different type of boat than the lasers that we've tried but not exactly sailed in. So that was a new change. Yeah.
Yeah, no, perfect. I was just thinking, if you were trying sailing in Italy in the summer and you're doing winter training in the UK, that must be quite different. Can you tell us what your plans are, as much as you know them, for 22, if you carry on, and then we'll go back to the first pair?
Well, I think just for this year, we are currently doing the regional training groups, so we aim to carry that on and hopefully get involved in the nationals and other competitions. I know obviously the Worlds are here, so we might give it a try, because why not?
Why not?
And I think we are also, in terms of moving forward with next year, we will move on to 420s from the summer, so that will be something new again to try and keep on challenging ourselves. But the new kind of this, apart from obviously nationals and other competitions, which we'll do in Fevas, we'll aim to start with 420s and start competing in 420s in the summer and carry on.
Yeah, I mean that's at least 2 new challenges: the symmetric as opposed to asymmetric spinnaker and a trapeze.
Mm-hmm.
How about the other couple? If we go back, can you just tell us? You're on the regional squads as well, is that correct? Can you tell us how that works? I think possibly going to see you both at the academy at the weekend.
Yeah, we are in the RTG's regional training group with the other girls. And,
so sorry, which region is that? I mean, it's probably obvious, but always good to say.
We're the South.
And can you tell us who the coaches are and where you tend to train and what the pathway is? Because I guess there will be other terra sailors and off-piste sailors who are possibly thinking of doing the same route that you're doing.
Yeah, so there's Niall, Jake, and then Charlotte, and what's the other person? Yeah, and basically they're the main coaches that teach us. We did a bit of the RTG last year and we had the same coaches, which was quite nice. But yeah, so it's quite nice because they normally stay the same, and then you just like know them from like.
You get to know the coaches.
Yeah.
That makes everything easier.
Yeah, but yeah.
And you kind of like rotate clubs, so each weekend's at a different club.
So what are the clubs that you're using this year?
Oh, we've had Oxford, Lymington. Weymouth.
Funny, that sounds like exactly my program this year. Limited Oxford and Weymouth.
Weymouth, Itchenor,
and
Burfield, and I think the final one's in Hayling.
Yeah, so our home club, which should be quite nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you've got a lot of stuff close to home, and I think it makes a lot of sense, to maximise the hours on the water and minimise the hours. You're nodding in agreement, but I'm sure your parents will especially agree with me, or whoever it is doing the driving. Can you just tell us a little bit about your plan for 2022 and your ambitions?
Well, we are doing all of the events in like England, so we've got like the Spring Champs coming up in March. There's a Grand Prix at Queen Mary, I think, and then we'll be going to the Nationals in Weymouth. And we hope to do quite well at that, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then at the end of July is the Worlds in Weymouth, and we'll be going to the Europeans in the Czech Republic at the end of August.
Yeah. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that will be our last event.
Busy calendar, and you know that's your last event. So what do you think is next after that? What's the plan?
Well, I've started doing a little bit of 29er sailing, so I'll be going to 29ers, and I think Ella's doing another year in Fevers.
Yeah, I'm going to try and find someone to sail with in Fevers, and I'll hopefully helm this year or next year, and then do some of that. Yeah.
There we go. You got the shout out here. So, just any advice you have for people coming into the class, and I'll put that to the other pair as well. But what would your advice be? You know, for people who are coming from the Oppie or coming from the Terra or from any junior class, really.
It's all really just about time on the water and just getting out and just going to the events. Even if you know you're not going to do very well at it, it's all about experience and just going and having fun.
Because I find the more I've been in a fever, just like going out, the way more of the experience I've got. Because when I was like just started, I went out in really windy weather with my dad. I was just like, oh my god, this is but then the more I've done it, the more it's become really, really fun. So I would definitely say, just because if you've had like one scary like moment with one time you were out, doesn't mean you should stop. I think you should carry on until you've like got really good, and then
it's all about perseverance.
Absolutely. Well, that's true of everything in life. If you look at the Sail GP, they have a scary moment so far, and they're the best sailors in the world. So if we go back to final point, do you have some advice for people moving into class? Obviously, you said you've joined sailing, very recently. But what would your top tips be for people just thinking about being involved with the sport?
I think, just a similar kind of idea in terms of perseverance and keeping motivated. And obviously, if you're moving to Fevers and like other double-handed dinghies, it's a lot of it is about communication and teamwork, and so ensuring obviously you and your partner, you know, just beyond just going on the water. Obviously, that is really important to gain experience and everything. I'm really sorry. That is really important to gain experience and everything. But I think there's also so much that goes on out like off the water in terms of team building and kind of the complementary aspects of the sport, which is kind of I think that is equally as important. Making sure that you have a strong team to sail, because then you'll feel more confident going on the water, and that is also very important. You know, if you know you're finding yourself kind of trying to overcome some challenges, or you have some difficulties at first, it's very important to have a strong team.
I agree, because it's a lot about it's a lot about the experience more than just like the outcome. So enjoying that is very important. So whatever happens, obviously there may be ups and downs, but overall overall it will be an amazing time. Yeah.
Well, I think there's a dog which is wholeheartely agreeing with you in the background. So these things happen, but actually some fantastic advice from young people. I just want to say, I wish you both teams all the best for the future. We're going to go on to a little bit of coaching now. I keep it short and sweet, just the golden nuggets. So although you're going to disappear from the screen, do stay with us, and if you have any questions. I'm aware that a lot of people are going to be watching these things on mobile devices, so perhaps the diagrams appear quite small, but we talked in the last show about where you need to have your focus, and perhaps it seems obvious when you put it like this, but the focus marks needs to be very, very focused on the boat-to-boat tactics. There's a large chance for place changes here, thinking about start roundings, leeward gates, windward marks. Whenever the boats come together, that extra metre or knot can make a huge difference. And then maybe 80% of the course is about boat speed, and it's about knowing when to flick that gear, because if you're focusing on boat speed when you're going the wrong way, that's obviously going to mean you go to the wrong side of the course even quicker. Or when you're focusing on boat speed when actually, for example, you're being covered, you'll be better off putting in 2 tacks, having a lane, and then focusing on boat speed. Nothing has ever been so true as going to a mark. You really need to focus. Sometimes it's better to slow down or choose a different mark than to just try and go full speed and end up on the outside of a bunch. So this is a little diagram I did a very, very long time ago, but it's still as true now as it was 20 years ago. So yeah, boat speed versus tactics, because it's not all about just going as fast as you can. Sailing's a dynamic sport, and I've heard the analogy is, you know, trying to sprint around and play chess at the same time. And that's it. Really lovely to talk to the Feva class, and almost the other end of the spectrum. I hope I'm going to say this. We've got the WASP on next month. That's the 7th and 8th of April, as it were, the live show first on Facebook, and so looking forward to chatting with Hattie. We've actually chatted quite a lot before we've even done the show, and that's somebody who I think has an incredibly bright future, both the individual and the class. So thank you very much, everyone, and hopefully lots of people will be able to join us in April.
Okay, thank you very much.